Deadly Dispute is one of the best Pauper cards right now, usually compared to Ancestral Recall when paired with Ichor Wellspring. And today, I will show you a deck that exploits its potential and can kill your opponents unexpectedly. We pair it with creatures like Shambling Ghast and its new cousin to generate multiple treasure tokens that later can be used to draw more cards with Reckoner's Bargain or Fanatical Offering, and eventually unexpectedly kill your opponents with either Reckless Fireweaver and Sunshot Militia. In a deck that is fun to play, I will show you why right now. In the first game, I faced an exciting match against Mardu Synthesizer, a deck heavily reliant on value cards like Experimental Synthesizer. This deck abuses them in combination with cards such as Core Skyfisher and Glint Hawk. Notably, it includes the card I despise the most, Cleansing Wildfire, the sole reason why bridges aren't banned. As my opponent took time to set up, I focused on building my board and eliminating their creatures, all while dealing incremental damage whenever an artifact entered the battlefield, courtesy of Fireweaver. Unfortunately, the opponent played Glint Hawk, returning the Synthesizer and eliminating my creature. They continued to play more cards and passed. During my turn, I deployed the Militia, utilizing its ability to ping my opponent for one. I then sacrificed my creature, drawing 2 additional cards. Activating its ability again, I pinged them once more, successfully eliminating their flyer. They untapped, played Journey to Nowhere, exiling my creature. On their turn, I flipped my Tithing Blade, initiating a drain for 1 each turn. The opponent drew a card at the end of their turn, played a Skyfisher, returned a Synthesizer, attacked, and passed. With the assistance of Shambling Ghast, I employed Deadly Dispute to draw more cards, eventually finding additional card draw spells and sack fodder. On their turn, the opponent played back-to-back Synthesizers, amassing card advantage, and passed after attacking. In response, I played my creature, sacrificed it for resources, eventually finding a Synthesizer of my own, revealing a Deadly Dispute. I cast it, discovering a Blood Fountain to potentially revive my fallen creatures. Despite a setback from Bojuka Bog, I remained undeterred. I rebuilt my graveyard and continued draining my opponents with the flipped Tithing Blade. Playing back-to-back Synthesizers and a Great Furnace, I exploited the fact that they couldn't prevent the damage. Sacrificing artifacts with Offering, I triggered my creature's ability, drawing more cards. Eventually, I found Makeshift Munitions, a key component to closing the game. The opponent attacked for 5 and passed. I drained them for 1, deciding to eliminate their token by sacrificing my Ghast and dealing 1 damage. From there, I played another creature to block and deal damage to their face. They eliminated 1, allowing me to scry away a card. They flipped their blade and attacked. At the end of their turn, I returned 2 creatures to my hand, played Fireweaver, and dealt 1 damage with the Vault. In response, they attempted to kill it, and I sacrificed it to deal 1 damage to their face. After some quick math, I realized I had enough to kill them this turn. I threw a Galvanic Blast to their face, sacrificing artifacts 1 by 1 for lethal damage, securing victory in game number 1. Post-sideboard, I considered adding a second Tithing Blade instead of a Pilferer. With a decent hand, we kept it. The opponent quickly eliminated our only creature, but we managed to scry and create a treasure. Using a Synthesizer revealed a Galvanic Blast, which I used to target my opponent's face after playing a Furnace to activate Metalcraft. The opponent played a Glint Hawk and Lembas, then passed the turn. I introduced a Reckless Fireweaver, pinging them with a land, and used Synthesizer to deal additional damage. Revealing a Munitions, I played it and passed. They played another Glint Hawk, returning their blade and eliminating our creature, but we did some incidental damage in the process. Sacrificing our Synthesizer revealed a land and a Militia. Since the Militia couldn't fly, I used its ability to deal more damage to our opponent. The opponent then played a Synthesizer and used Journey, but I could have sacrificed my Militia with the Journey on the stack to force them to exile one of their creatures. At least we managed to deal some damage. They played a Cleric to eliminate my Munitions, making the situation look dire. Sacrificing the Synthesizer, I created a token, revealing a Galvanic Blast that dealt 4 damage to my opponent's face. I left up Fanatical Offering in case they had removal. The opponent gained 3 life, played a Nihil Spellbomb, attacked in the air after introducing a Thraben Inspector. After cycling a land with the Blood token, I found another Synthesizer, revealing a land. Sacrificing it, I created a token, and our own Tithing Blade appeared. Casting it, we eliminated one of the opponent's blockers and hoped to start gaining life soon. A Skyfisher joined the opponent's ranks, returning the Synthesizer and killing one of my creatures. They put me down to 6 and passed. I used the bargain to gain 1 life and draw 2 more cards, revealing a Fireweaver. I then put them down to 1, cast a Freebooter, and passed, hoping they didn't find another damage spell from the top. They played back-to-back Synthesizers, hitting me for 4 in the air. With no hand, I went for the kill by playing my land, putting them to 5. My Sunshot Militia joined the fray, and I tapped out every creature and artifact to deal lethal damage, winning match number 1. In the second match, I faced a mono-red deck, aiming to test the prowess of the format's best deck. Being on the draw was already a disadvantage, and facing a Monastery Swift Spear paired with a Tomb Rider dealt 8 damage on turn 2. No small feat. Fortunately, I managed to eliminate the Swift Spear, and my focus shifted to dealing with the remaining threats. The opponent played a land and passed, allowing me to deploy 2 creatures on the field. I considered using the Tithing Blade to deal with a threat, but prioritized generating treasures. They attacked, and I blocked with both my creatures to create a treasure and eliminate the Epicure using Ghast's ability. Drawing a bounce land from a Synthesizer was fantastic news, so I played it along with a blocker and passed. The opponent played another Epicure and passed. A Fireweaver helped me secure the ground, and a Tithing Blade would deal with their Epicure while dealing additional damage. I refrained from attacking, fearing a hasty response, and passed. The opponent cracked their Synthesizer to create a token and revealed a Bushwhacker. However, kicking it was pointless in this board state, so they passed the turn. I played my creature, dealt incidental damage with Fireweaver's ability, and the situation seemed stable. They revealed cards with their impulse, attacked, and I decided to double block to gain a treasure and deal 1 more damage to them. On my turn, I flipped my blade, gradually improving my hand. The opponent created another token, cast multiple spells, and attacked with the team. Concerned about the Vigilance token, I let go of my Fireweaver, taking 3 damage from the Tomb Rider. I then cracked a Synthesizer of my own, put another blocker on the field, and removed another creature with Tithing Blade after drawing more cards. The opponent created another Samurai token, played an Epicure, and we traded for their Tomb Rider, generating 2 extra treasure tokens. Drawing a Fireweaver from the top seemed enough to close things. I played it first, followed by a Synthesizer and Blood Fountain, to throw a lightning bolt to their face, quickly reducing them to 5 life. I attacked, they decided to trade, and I passed the turn with a Galvanic Blast in hand as insurance. Another reckless impulse revealed more cards, and after some blocking, I untapped and slowly killed them with Fireweaver, winning game 1 without using Galvanic Blast. Post-sideboard, I opted to bring in 2 Lightning Bolts and 2 Krark Clan Shamans. Since this wasn't a regular burn version, Weather the Storm wasn't needed, so I simply sided out those 4 cards, deciding to test my luck with a 1-lander. I used a Deadly Dispute to sacrifice my land, attempting to find a replacement, but luck wasn't on my side. Sticker Goblins soon came into play, showcasing its threat in Pauper. After adding some mana, the opponent unfolded their hand, giving haste to the board. I quickly conceded to move to the final game. In the final game, the hand appeared promising. If I could survive the early game, I could outvalue my opponent, much like in game 1. Rakdos Carnarium would effectively dodge cast into the fire, providing a significant advantage. Surviving until turn 3 was already a plus, and I still had removal in hand. The opponent played a Kuldotha, and after dropping a Shaman, they had to use removal on it to prevent me from easily clearing their board. They found a cast into the fire, targeting a land, a positive outcome, as I could sacrifice it, leaving them with a hasteless Bushwhacker in play. I then played a Fireweaver and a Blade to clear the board. However, a Sticker Goblins threatened to repeat what happened in game 1, but fortunately, the damage wasn't as impactful. I could have killed their Shaman to save my Blade, but I forgot about it until it was too late. They attacked, so I killed the Goblin and blocked a creature. Remarkably, we were still at 17 life by turn 7, giving me confidence in my chances. Finding another Shaman, I attacked and passed. The opponent played a Tomb Rider, and I blocked it before clearing the rest of their board. Opting to conserve removal, unless necessary, I played the Militia and attacked once more. Sticker Goblins joined the party, but it didn't change much. I sacrificed my creature to dig deeper into my library, revealing a Synthesizer and 2 lands. The opponent played a Synthesizer of their own, created a Samurai, and a Swift Spear also joined the party. I blocked and killed one of their creatures to mitigate some damage. Then, I cracked the Synthesizer, revealing another one. The opponent played another Swift Spear, and I blocked one Samurai, killing the other. On my turn, I created a Samurai of my own, cast Deadly Dispute to draw some lands, played a Ghast, and used the map token to pump my Samurai before passing the turn. The opponent passed the turn, and I attacked with everything except the Weaver, as blocking the Ghast would result in one of their creatures dying. They did block and kept only a creature in play. Post-combat, I played 2 more and passed. I attacked once more with my entire board, reducing them to 4. From there, the opponent killed 2 creatures and conceded, securing the victory. In the last match against Azorius Familiars, we kept a hand dependent on fixing our mana. After drawing a couple of cards, we ended up with a Fireweaver and 2 more creatures on the field. However, the presence of God's Pharaoh on the other side limited the damage we could deal. The opponent played a Modern Age and passed, and we attacked on our turn. Post-combat, we drew a couple of cards while dealing damage thanks to the Fireweaver trigger. We played our Militia to deal extra damage by tapping 2 treasure tokens, dealing a total of 7 damage on this turn only. The opponent managed to gain some life, and a second God's Pharaoh made our life and attacks a bit harder. Regardless, we attacked once again, repeating the same pattern as last turn. This time, we found a Galvanic Blast, a second Militia, and a makeshift munitions. I decided to remove one of their creatures and slam the munitions while they were tapped out. The opponent untapped and casted a Dawbringer Cleric, opting not to remove the munitions but to gain life instead, and passed. With not much to do, I played a land, returning an artifact to trigger the Fireweaver ability next turn, tapped some of my creatures and artifacts to deal extra damage, and passed. The opponent played a land and passed as well, so I untapped and played another land for cheap damage, used the Encore ability on the Nimble Pilferer, and did some more cheap damage with the Militia ability and Makeshift Munitions, putting them down to 6 life this turn. The opponent then flashbacked Deep Analysis, putting themselves down to 2. I decided to use munitions to try and kill them. The opponent used Ephemerate on the Cleric to gain life, and I tried to ping them for 1 again. Still, they had a second Ephemerate prepared, which proved enough to put them within lethal range, and they finally conceded. Post-sideboard, Pyroblast should be enough to win against the counter war. We started with a slow but strong start, aiming to get rid of their life gainers and familiars. We proceeded to kill their Pharaoh with Tithing Blade. The opponent played a bounce land, and on my turn, a Militia met a counter spell. We played a land, and passed as well. I think the opponent's deck improves post-sideboard, as it now has access to Hydroblasts, acting as a removal spell that their deck usually lacks. While we removed their Archaeomancer, we now have to play around the Hydroblast they returned. The good news is that now we can ping them every turn with the help of a flipped Tithing Blade. They untapped, played a God Pharaoh, and drew some cards. I then played a Synthesizer, revealing a Deadly Dispute, which I used to see if I could find removal for their creature. Pyroblast showed up, but it was somewhat useless in this board, so we played a creature and passed. The opponent played a Muldrifter for its evoke cost, and returned it to hand, thanks to Snap, to recast it later and draw more cards. Additionally, a Familiar joined the ranks, which I was not thrilled to see. Still, with not many options to play around, I decided to flip the second blade and pass. They then played a Muldrifter, a second Familiar, and on our turn, I put a stop on my upkeep to filter my draws. A Fireweaver joined, so I wanted to bait the Hydroblast by playing Synthesizer first. This revealed a Dispute, which I immediately used, and a second Fireweaver appeared. Now, I think the way to win the game is to slam 2 Fireweavers, so I decided to use Blast on their creature to bait the counter. They protected it, and I played both my win conditions and passed back. However, the problem with this strategy is that Familiars is a deck that you can't let set up, as they will usually come out on top in the long game. This was proven by the opponent resolving an Archaeomancer and gaining infinite life with their Ghostly Flicker loop, so we moved to game number 3. On the play with 2 Pyroblasts in hand, it looked promising, so we kept. The plan now was to answer their setup creatures one by one, eventually coming out on top with our card advantage. I resolved a Militia and got to attack with it for a few extra damage points. Then, a Synthesizer revealed a land, and I decided to use a Dispute on it to draw more cards. The opponent then played back-to-back Faithfuls, but the issue with trying to kill one now is that I can't use Pyroblast to protect it, as otherwise I would lose Metalcraft. So I let this resolve and decided to kill their creature with Tithing Blade on my turn. The opponent then played a Muldrifter, and I was happy to counter it. I did some ping damage with the Militia and the Blade, and drew some more cards with Offering, which revealed a Fireweaver, so I played that as well, pinged them for the turn, and passed. Nature's Claim finally dealt with the munitions, and they also tried to get rid of the Fireweaver, but I managed to protect it with my Pyroblast. With the board in our favor, I untapped, played my Tithing Blade, and the opponent scooped with only one more card in hand.